Hello, this is Scott Bicheno at Broadband World Forum 2016, and I'm talking to Sue Rudd from Strategy Analytics. So Sue, you've been thinking about the major challenges that next generation broadband networks are facing. So do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Well, with the explosion of broadband, even Google has admitted that Moore's Law isn't going to bail us out much longer, and we're really getting to the limit of just throwing bandwidth and processing power at the network. We need to start rethinking how we do things. If you look at the origins of the internet, we started back in 1978 with TCP/IP,
Right.
when modems were only at 9.6 kilobits. And now we've got to broadband at 10 gigabits or faster. And now we're seeing the need to really scale up and scope networks that are much larger and can handle much more traffic.
Yeah, so I mean, the picture you're painting there is that the internet was first designed decades ago, and the current reality is that demand is outstripping supply.
Absolutely.
So perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about sort of specific challenges that need to be overcome.
Well, we've been thinking about this for quite a while, and we've looked at 7 major areas where there are technology challenges that will actually foreclose huge markets that everybody's looking at. But unless we start to rethink how we deliver them, we're going to miss the markets. So the challenges are things like unique identifiers, which IoT desperately needs, a whole bunch of identifiers that are not tied to network addresses. We're going to see the need for really inherent security, and that relates to IoT and just about everything. Security has to be built in. We need to be able to connect global LANs, like global cloud data centers, global telco clouds, all need seamless VLAN connectivity that we don't have today. We're going to need ways to do end-to-end services across fixed and mobile transport. That's what Broadband World Forum is all about. And we need new ways to look at massively bursty video data on demand, real broadcast, all kinds of huge new traffic models were needed.
Okay, so not too much to do then.
No, but if we need to step back and rethink how we do it.
So if we don't do that, if we don't succeed in sort of overcoming these challenges you just listed, which are the markets that are going to be affected?
Well, literally IoT is going to need tens of billions of addresses. So no matter what we do with the IP addressing scheme, we're not going to have enough addresses. And we need to really think about the difference between names and addresses. Do you know the difference between your name and your address?
In terms of where I live, yeah.
Yes, of course you do. And when you move house, you don't change your name?
Indeed.
So we need to think of devices that way. We need to have a name for many of these devices. It could be an asset tag, it could be a car part ID, and map it dynamically to a network address. That inherently makes it more secure because the applications don't see the network, and the network addresses aren't being bombarded by application people and hackers.
Okay. So yes, so you started talking about the security implications there. Are there any more things we need to know from that side?
Well, we really need to think of, instead of the way the internet does it today, of letting everybody in and then you build firewalls to keep the bad guys out, thinking about authenticating people for the applications they're accessing so that even one app can't get at other apps. And we need to authenticate people for what they're doing and allow people in as the default is to authenticate people, not the default to let everybody in. So it's the inverse of the way we do things on the public internet.
And are there any other markets that you want to flag up?
Well, the critical one that's really important for the show here is fixed mobile convergence and cloud data centers and even software-defined data centers where you want to have global seamless connectivity. And sort of Google's dream would be to connect all its data centers as if it was a single logical LAN and you could dynamically allocate servers anywhere in the world. Well, today they have to nail up huge fiber optic pipes to do that, and so do corporations. But what the telcos could really do is allow that to be an on-demand capability with layer 2 bridging rather than today's complicated internet mechanisms.
And I imagine that things like sort of quality of service, guarantee of service is a critical part of this puzzle. Probably,
and I mostly work in the wireless space, but the 5G is all about network slicing and network services. And with SDN and FE offering the ability to mix and match virtual functions on demand, we're seeing the opportunity to group classes of service together to make a good business case for apps like fire alarms and golf course watering systems can share a low class of service, whereas bursty video broadcast from TV or media or user-originated video can share another class of service. And these are called network slices, which is a 5G concept that'll probably come long ahead of 5G. But to do it, we have to guarantee end-to-end class and quality of service. And that's almost impossible to do on top of TCP. TCP will give you best efforts no matter what you ask for.
Okay. So you've started sort of touching on the reality. Can you tell us a little bit more, all these challenges that you've just detailed, are they actually being addressed?
Well, there's a huge new movement, I think, of people who are running into these problems but don't really know how to address them. And ETSI in January started a new group called the Next Generation Protocol Working Group that is actually just promoted its new scenarios and use cases last week. And they're just starting work to see what is it we really need for these next generation protocols. But it's really simplifying the network at the same time. And one group that's been working on that for a while has been funded by the EU's Horizon 2020 program. Is called RENA, or Recursive Internet Architecture, which is actually looking to simplify the architecture as true layers end-to-end, and the scope can be point-to-point, be through the middle of the network, or it can be all the way to the application user, so that you can in fact simplify users and make inherently secure layers end-to-end.
Great, well it looks like we've got our work cut out for us.
I think we can solve the problems of broadband if we step back and rethink how to deliver the performance and the scale that's needed.
Brilliant, okay, well that was fascinating. Thanks a lot, Sue.